welcome in Tracy. Hey, Tracy, how are you?
Ron, how are you? I'm good. Good to see you on a rainy Monday here, right?
Yes. North Carolina is getting a little bit of rain this morning, but that's okay. We just take it all in.
It makes you want to go on a cruise even more when you look out the window and see how dreary it is when you're home. Like, oh, let's get away somewhere warm.
Absolutely. So let's give me a little bit of details about yourself, and then we're going to get into all things Virgin Voyages.
Yeah. Well, gosh, how far back do we want to go? Right out of college in the early 90s, 91, I actually started as a tour guide for a bus tour company. So I started in this business. This will be the beginning of my 35th year this month, which is kind of crazy. And, but yeah, just fell in love with travel back then. You know, I was just a country boy, as you can tell from this accent, you know, from out in the sticks here in North Carolina, and just got a very lucky break to be able to travel as a tour guide. And back then, you know, bus tours were pretty big. You know, we were taking people up to Branson, Missouri, and we were taking up to New York and Niagara. And I was so fortunate to spend the whole summer of 1992 in Alaska. Now, you were still a baby in 1992. I know you were just a child. I don't know. Were you even born in 92?
I was actually, but thank you. I appreciate that. I was in middle school, so I appreciate that, Tracy.
Well, if you remember from your middle school history class, 1992 was big because that was the 50th anniversary of what was something called the Alcan Highway completion. There was a big project there in World War II to finish a highway between Canada and Alaska for supplies for World War II. And so there's a big celebration in 1992 in Alaska for that 50th anniversary. So that's why I was up there that whole summer as a tour guide and a 23-year-old kid who knew nothing about the world. But yeah, it was fun. And then all the way through these years, I've worked for the Convention and Visitor Bureau side of things here in the Charlotte area, and then went over to a guided vacation company in the mid 2000s as a BDM. And then 3 years ago in September, it'll be 3 years, I had a chance to come to Virgin, and I jumped on it because I've been watching this brand from the early days when it was announced pre-COVID. And I met one of the early BDMs. Did you ever get to meet Christy? She's still with us as a manager. Did you ever meet Christy Gregosian at the time?
Yes. She was actually, she was the first BDM.
Yeah. She's awesome. And so we had crossed paths. And I said, I'm going to keep an eye on this Virgin thing. And when there was a opening, I sent her a quick note through LinkedIn and said, what's this deal with Virgin? She said, you will love it. If you're interested, throw your name in the hat. And I'm so glad I did, because this is the best gig I've had in the travel industry. Just starting from the top, Richard Branson, if you know anything about him, or if you get a chance to read any of his books, he's written 2 books. One's called Finding My Virginity, and one's called Losing My Virginity. I think that's which is kind of cool. He's just a good guy, and he just really treats his people well. And so 3 years in this role, I got to meet you, a couple of years ago. We've been connecting, and just appreciate you as an influencer and as a travel advisor, and all that you've done to help raise the knowledge level of our brand to your followers. So
I appreciate that. So let's talk about Virgin. I appreciate you saying, giving me the details, because I am very much a Virgin girly, and I love the fact that they were so open enough to say, hey, come on over to Virgin and see what we're talking about. But for us, when on this side of it, right, when Virgin first was announced, we were just like, oh, it's a cool new concept, like you said, from Richard Branson. And it was like, it was something completely different in the realms of cruising, because there are no kids. And right?
We all love kids. We love kids. We just don't love other people's kids, right?
Yes. And look, I barely like my own sometimes, so I completely understand that concept.
I'm with you. Mine are grown, but there still are days when they're grown.
Yes. But let's talk about the concept of Virgin and what that meant to the mainstream as far as cruises are concerned, because it completely changed the game of cruising.
Yeah. This is it's a big industry, but it's also a small industry in that there's not a lot of major players out there. We all know that there's 3 major, maybe even now 4 major cruise lines that you could say out there, and they have several ships each, and they've done a great job. And I'll tell you a funny story. Our color red is our color, right?
Yes.
And I have a very good friend who's a BDM with another cruise brand that has red as some of their primary color. I'm not going to say the name, but you probably know who they are.
I know.
we did a few shows together. And, we're the new kid on the block, so they like to pick on the new kid. And this particular BDM says, "Oh, look, you're red. Y'all are kind of copying our red." And I says, "Well, wait just a minute. Let's go back in time. Virgin Records was founded in 1970. And I think this was the color that Mr. Branson chose for his label of Virgin Records back in 1970. Your cruise line, which I won't call the name, was founded in 1972. So maybe your line followed our colors."
Tracy dropping bars and set the record straight. I love it.
I'm just kidding. We have a great camaraderie in this industry. You know that. So all the cruise lines, we get together and we pick on each other and we have a good time. But we're thankful that those other brands and other cruise lines have done such a great job of building, an industry that, hasn't existed like this ever.
Yes.
And coming out of COVID, we all knew, gosh, COVID just put such a shock into everyone's system. We were set to be launched as a brand right when COVID hit, and people say, "Oh, isn't that bad luck?" In some ways it was bad luck, but in some ways it's actually good luck. We weren't in the water exactly yet, so we didn't have all the difficulties of actually canceling, all of our sailings and pulling people off of ships and stuff. We did have to push things back. We didn't really get sailing until the late 21 timeframe. But we've been so fortunate since that time for so many people that have come along and said, "Yeah, this is something different. This is something new." And with COVID maybe shaking the world up a little bit, what a better time to introduce a totally new concept in cruising than right after COVID.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're really proud of what we've accomplished to this point, and there's still a lot to be done.
Yes.
Still a lot of education. From a travel advisor's perspective, you have to kind of explain who we are to a lot of people still today, 5 years later.
Right. And that's the thing too, because as we've talked about before, Brandon and I were actually on the inaugural sailing of the Scarlet Lady, and being so conditioned to sailing and cruising in one way, when we got on the ship, we were just like, what do we do? What do we do? What's happening? This is completely out of the scope of what we thought would be going on.
Yeah.
And it took a lot to get used to. And I think for a lot of people, we were excited about the concept of what Virgin was, but also it was just like, you're putting your foot in the game, and it's like, because nobody knew what it was, people were making up what they thought it was.
Yeah, and we've admitted, our chief marketing officer, Nathan Rosenberg, who I love, and you probably met or seen on a lot of our videos, brilliant mind, and that mind runs 1,000 miles an hour. It never stops. But he's even come out and admitted, maybe we came out early on a little too adultish, a little too in your face of no kids, and, really kind of setting the standard of people thinking, oh, well, especially here in the South where I live, when you say no kids, some people start thinking, or adults only, oh gosh, that's like an adult bookstore or adult this or adult that. And people start thinking, maybe it's not my deal. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't want to see things that, might offend me.
Right.
And we had to and still are overcoming that a little bit. But, too, from your own sailings, you're going to see stranger things at Walmart than you will on the Virgin.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing that we've kind of had, like you said, as travel agents, kind of had to reprogram to think about, is that not only is this just a different brand and this is a different concept, but the things that you think are happening on one cruise line may be also happening on other cruise lines that you probably aren't seeing, that's right in front of your face.
Well, they got kids running around with it going.
Yeah, and then there's kids too. So
yeah, I get it. And I don't disparage any lifestyle. We are a very open brand, and that's one thing I love about Virgin, is that we don't care who you are, where you come from, what your background is. As long as you're respectful to other people when you come on board, you be yourself. You do you, and I love that feeling. But when you step on and realize there's no kids, that lack of chaos caused by mama, daddy, whatever, that lack of confusion just lets everyone relax, and you just see it on people's faces after about 10 minutes on the ship. It's like, wow, this is going to be different, and this is
yeah, and it does change a lot. So we all know, we understand the assignment now where there's no kids, right? Let's get into what's new with Virgin Voyages. And she got some listen,
we're excited.
We got some stuff to talk about.
Yeah. Let me give the history in case anybody's joining us and just want to know. Scarlet Lady, of course, was our first ship. That's who you sailed with, inaugural ship. You know, our first year, we were just in the Caribbean because we only had one ship. So everybody thought, okay, Scarlet Caribbean. Next year in 22, we launched Valiant Lady, and she was over in Europe, but she just did short or 7-night sailings out of Barcelona. Okay, that's cool. You got 2 ships. 23, we launched Resilient Lady. She was in Athens, Greece. And so we started expanding a little bit more. But in the winter, she came over and sailed here in the Caribbean. So at one point, we had 2 or 3 ships in the Caribbean. And now we're going to have our 4th lady ship. And really, this is sort of completing that, I think, early goal of the company of being a global, worldwide brand, of being able to say we go everywhere. Because Brilliant is going to kind of complete the loop. She's going to complete the sisters, if you will. And she's set to launch in September. And she's going to be a little different. You know, our first 3 ships are pretty much all alike. There's a few little design cues and things, but once you've been on one, you can definitely find your way around all of them. Yes. The restaurants are the same. You know, everybody loves the Wake, and they love Extra Virgin and Pink Agave, all that. Those are still on Brilliant too. Don't panic about that. But we decided to maybe start giving our ships a little bit more of an individual personality.
Yes, that's something I wanted to ask too, because I know was it 4 or 5 ships that were slated to be built with this kind of floor plan in the future? Are we looking to switch things up a bit, just based off what we've learned?
Yeah, I wish I could give you inside knowledge on that and spill some tea, but I don't know. The rumors are that there's probably more planned, but I think we want to make sure we get these 4 executed perfectly. And then, you know, once Brilliant's in the water and things are moving really well, maybe next year sometime you'll hear us come out and say, here's our future for 5 or 10 years down the road.
Right.
But let's just do the 4 we got now, right? Yeah. And we've learned so much. As you know, we are constantly asking sailors and travel advisors, first mates, for feedback. And we've made a lot of changes based on that in just the 3 or 4 years we've been in the water, right?
Yeah.
So we definitely are listening, and who knows, you might be asked about what you want on a future ship. Could we do different or better or change? And we listen. Mr. Branson's favorite saying is, screw it, let's do it. If people he's like, this is what they want, let's do it. Why do we not do what the customers want? Yeah.
So, and that's one of my favorite things too about Virgin, is because they actually listen to the feedback, and not only listen to the feedback. If you have an issue on board and you answer the surveys which they send you, you pretty much can get it handled, whatever the issue is, on the ship. Like, that's one thing I will say that I love about Virgin's customer service as well.
Well, good. We try to empower our crew to be the advocate for our sailors, to make sure they're having a great time. And if there's something obvious that we can do quickly and efficiently to make that happen, let's do it. You know, let's not have to go through hoops and things like that. And we love our crew. And when your sailors come on board and you've had your experiences with them, we encourage our crew to be real and to be themselves when interacting with our sailors. It's kind of a partnership. Yes. Since we include tips, the tips are already included in your cruise fare. Right. There's no tension. You don't feel like you gotta play the game of, if he's really nice to me, do I gotta give him a couple extra dollars or something?
Right.
That's all gone because it's already included. Yeah.
So Carlene Reed is here, and she is also a Virgin fan as well. So shout out to Carlene and Yolo and Raquel. Thank you all for being here, and Shakia. But Carlene says that her favorite personality so far is Valiant, and even though they are similar in ship, they all do still carry a different personality.
Yeah, our happenings crew are all different on each of the ships too, and we allow them to kind of have their own personality as a crew. And like I said, the ships too, they have their unique differences here and there. But it's just fun to see how people sort of gravitate to different things on different ships, and I think it's great that we're offering that little bit more variety now.
Yes, and there you go, Carlene. That's what happens. It's the personality that brings on the ship, the crew, and just the vibe. I think that's how it happens, is that even though the ship is the same, it feels different when you get on board. So thank you for that.
Favorite, because she was my first one in, I sailed on Scarlet first. Most people did, adopted us, but Resilient is my favorite because I got to experience her in Athens, and she was almost brand new when I got on there. So
wow,
I got to see what she was like. But I'm going to get to check out Brilliant Lady later on in September of this year too, when she's launched. So
nice.
And she'll be a little different if you want to talk about some of the differences of
her. Definitely. Yeah, we definitely want to talk about the differences. I do want to say, Shakia, thank you for that. She said kudos to Virgin for listening and implementing feedback so quickly.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We're young and nimble. We can still make those changes.
There you go. If you like the information that you have been receiving so far, do us a favor. Go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you can know when we do more Ship to Shores. And also, if you're looking to book your next Virgin cruise, go ahead and email me, parkersonthego16@gmail.com, and I can help you get booked on your next adventure. But until then, get back into the video. So let's talk about Virgin, because I think the debut of the debut of Brilliant is going to be a little bit different this year, right?
Yeah. We're launching her actually. She has 4 Mermaiden sailings, and she's going to launch in New York in September the 5th. But even before she goes to New York, this summer, we're going to tweak her a little bit because of her eventual destination of being Alaska later on next year.
Yes.
So there's some areas on the ship that we're going to actually open up for better viewing, like in the roundabout area. You've been on the ship, there's a deck 7. There's the draft house there, which is a beautiful place but they have some like glass partitions sort of to separate that area off. Well, on Brilliant, I think those are going away. So it'll be an open view all the way across the ship, those big, beautiful windows on each side, so that when you're in places like Alaska and maybe it's a cooler, damper day, you can still be inside and have those beautiful views outside. So those little touches you might not notice when you get on board. You're like, oh, it seems like it's lighter or more airy in here. Those are the little things we're doing with Brilliant to make sure you've got better viewing and things like that.
Yeah, because once we heard that Virgin was doing Alaska, the question was, how does that work? How does that work? So
we're known as Sun and Fun, right? We're known
right.
Outdoor. Yeah, we're definitely trying to make, even I think, and I can't give away all the little secrets yet, but even some outdoor areas are going to be tweaked to where they're more off the ship focused than on the ship focused. So stay tuned for that. There'll be images and stuff coming this summer that you'll see all that little bit of a update to her. This will be cool for Alaska, because we're so excited about her being our first ship to Alaska. And plus, she's got the lifeboats tucked in a little bit on deck 8. That's so she can fit through the Panama Canal. And so those balconies on that deck are going to be a little bit different. It's called a slightly smaller balcony, but we're putting 2 hammocks on it. So that's been a complaint that people have said, oh, we love the hammocks on your balconies, but you only got 1. Well, on some or most of the balconies on deck 8 on Brilliant, you'll have 2.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, 2 balconies. I love to hear it. I mean, two hammocks. Sorry, 2 balconies would be good too. Just throwing that out there in the future,
Hey, get a suite. Get one of those cheeky corner suites or sweet ass suite. That's big enough for 2 balconies. You can play baseball on those balconies.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the differences in the debut of what Brilliant is going to look like. Let's talk about the dining, because if I'm not mistaken, we're going to have a little something different with Razzle Dazzle, correct?
Yeah, Scarlett went through her little refresh back in November, and with her we did the Asian fusion
Lucky Lotus,
and
which was delicious, by the way.
Yeah. And people haven't we haven't changed the personality of Razzle for breakfast and Razzle, that kind of thing. You can still get the great breakfast and brunch in there. So at nighttime is the difference that with Lucky Lotus. But with Brilliant, same kind of concept. We're going to do Spanish. Roja is the name of Roja by Razzle Dazzle. And you think of tapas and paella and frittatas and what's some of the other things here? Croquettes, and platos grandes. I mean, just that full, because people have said, we'd like each ship to have a little bit of a uniqueness to it. And this is what that's providing. And our chefs have spent so much time in Barcelona and the countryside of Spain this last year, pulling these recipes and making sure that this is going to be a true, authentic Spanish cuisine experience. I can't wait to try it myself just to see. I'll try any type of food, but man, paella is right up there for me. So
sorry if you hear my stomach growling. That kind of made me hungry a little bit.
Yeah, a little sample. I'm gonna get the sample. Hey, chef, can you send some samples?
Just a little sample, just a little sample. So we're switching it up with the food just a little bit, but we're also keeping the food that we love. And let's reiterate here: the food is included, right?
It's all included, right? It's all specialty dining, if you will. There's 6 restaurants that you do make reservations for before you get on the ship, 45 days in advance if you're in a regular cabin and 60 days if you're in a suite. And of course, you can help your sailors make those reservations. But yeah, get those reservations made. It's just like going out to dinner at a restaurant at home, but at the end of the meal, you don't get a bill. You just get up and walk away, just like you want to at home. And there are a few things that you can upgrade to if you want to. In some of these restaurants, you don't have to. It's all regular included. But I will give you a little bit more tea. Extra virgin. Mm-hmm. Each one of the extra virgin restaurants on all 4 ships is going to have a slightly different menu. There's going to be a few little things added here and there to kind of tweak extra virgin too. So
really,
can't share all of that yet, but that's rolling out this summer.
Nice
as well. So, but the favorites, everything everybody loves is staying there. But we're going to add a few little, surprises and surprise and delights and some updates to the extra virgin menu as well.
Tell me we keeping the oxtail raviolis, because that's the first time I had oxtail at all, and I fell in love immediately.
That's the first thing. That and the meatballs, I'm like, yeah.
Yes.
Bring extras, but
just bring me a bunch of meatballs and ravioli. We'll be good.
You'll see the updates on all those little menu tweaks here as we go through the summer as well. But we like to kind of keep people on their toes and keep them excited about new stuff. But yeah, all the food, and then there's 14 different other eateries, Siobhan. There's the galley area up on deck 16, and there's like 10 in there. You got everything from bento boxes of sushi to paninis, to tacos, to a 24-hour breakfast bar, a burger bar, sweet treats, soup and salad. And it's all made fresh to order. You don't have to go up and wait for it. You don't have to do a buffet kind of thing where that stuff sits out all day. You just sit down and raise your little flag at your table. Your server will come over. You can pull up the menu on your phone if you want to, where it's right there for you to check out, and they will have it made fresh to order and brought to you. So
yes,
really
nice.
Good. Yeah.
So a question I guess I would have, because my husband, who is a very simple eater, which when we were on our sailing, ate ramen every single day. He is a ramen guy, so that ramen just sold him.
Yeah. I had ramen for dinner last night.
That sounds about right. He probably about to have some ramen right now, to be honest. But as far as people who aren't, I guess, who don't have such a complex palate, do you feel like Virgin is still honoring those folks as well as far as the food is concerned?
Yeah. Our burger is fantastic. I think I eat one every day I'm on the ship. I just pop up there and get another burger and have them add the bacon, because the bacon, for breakfast is still there. You add it on. But even the tacos and stuff like that, you can have it made the way you want it. Since it's, made to order, you can tell your server, hey, give me the taco, but don't put on this and don't put that on there. They'll make you a plain. We'll try to customize anything we can for you. And even in the restaurants, if you see something that you like, but it's not quite the way you'd want it, maybe you're not a big fan of onions and you don't want the onions on, just tell them, hey, hold the onions, because it's not sitting in the back waiting for someone to come get it. It's made fresh to order when you order it. So we really want to cater to folks' tastes. And if there's something that they, don't care for, maybe it's, in the entree, tell them to keep it off or to change it or tweak it. We'll do that. We'll definitely do that.
Nice.
Only thing is, I can't find chicken tenders anywhere on the ship.
Yeah, he's a chicken tenders and French fry guy now. I'm gonna tell you.
As an employee, the only thing I've ever put down is like, I would just like to have a chicken tender every once in a while.
Every now and again. And that's one thing I will say as well, because when we did go into Bimini, we went into the beach club. He didn't eat as much because he's not so adventurous. But I think you've given a tip before when we met in person, saying, "Hey, go and grab a hot dog and bring it off with you," and then there you go.
Yeah, what's the I just thought today, the social club downstairs.
Yeah, social club.
Yeah, just pop in and order a hot dog, wrap it up, put it in your bag, take it over there.
There you go.
Or you get a hamburger up at the burger bar, whatever you can.
Yeah, take it with you. Hey,
we don't pat you down and ask what you're taking off the ship, right?
Yolanda says ramen is good, special palate or adventurous. Yeah, he's either he's on the special palate side. So we'll say it nicely.
I'll say you guys probably don't spend a lot of time in the test kitchen, because the test kitchen is that real experience of like, this is
right.
Totally different kind of thing, you know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's one spot we have not visited on the ship because he is not an adventurous palate. But we're going to get there because, of course, we got to get the content anyway, right?
That's right. But the pizza place, you know, you can get the plain pizzas however you want it too. The pizzas are made to order, and everybody loves our pizza.
There you go. So we've talked about the food, we talked about Brilliant, but let's also talk about something that is, I don't think a lot of people are familiar with or maybe haven't heard a lot about. And let's talk about these itineraries that maybe we need to kind of explore a little bit more. Let's talk about that fall colors itinerary.
Yeah, we're going to be up in New York, you know, we're launching Brilliant Lady out of Manhattan. She's going to do 2 5-night, 6-day sailings down to Bermuda and back. And that's sort of our launch and kickoff. There'll be all kind of media attention. You know, Mr. Branson will probably be there, all kind of fun stuff. Who knows, might be some morning shows showing up. I don't know. I'm not giving any details because I don't know. I'm not in charge of that. But just, you know, speculating.
We're speculating here.
We're going to be the media capital of the world with our latest, newest ship. And the media loves Mr. Branson because anytime they like to get him on TV, right? I'm just saying it would be great to see our beautiful ship in September. And hey, who knows, you could be on their way. But once she does those 2 first inaugural sailings there, then she's going to do some fun stuff up into New England, up to Boston, up to Maine, up to Halifax, and that beautiful Northeast corridor. And we've got one that's going to go open jaw in the industry. We call it open jaw, where it starts in one place and ends in another. We're going to start in New York and finish up in Quebec. And that's going to be right at the peak of that fall foliage, you know.
Yes.
You know, I come from that old bus tour thing. We call them leaf peepers.
I have learned that I am a leaf peeper.
I can see the leaves changing. The Kangamangas Highway up there in New Hampshire. But it's a beautiful part of the world. And as we do that little fall foliage sailing, when you go in that Hudson River area, of course, going into Quebec City, it's just going to be stunning, I believe. And so if you're not a sun and fun cruiser, which I don't know why you wouldn't be, that's definitely a great one to check out, to go up and see that beautiful part of the world. And, you know, Brilliant, like I said, will be built for viewing like that. So we'll get to test out those viewing areas on that fall foliage before she even gets to Alaska.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I'll say this again for all my folks. If you've been around me for a little while, you'll know that I absolutely love that sailing. We did that sailing with another cruise line that shall not be named, but we love the sailing, not so much the experience. So I feel like this is something with Virgin that we can kind of use to not only bring an attention to and also bring new sailors to, but let's bring some new blood to it too, because I will be honest, it was some people on that ship, the crew, that were just like, tell young people about this sailing.
and you know, from your experience, you get different crowds based on where you're going and how long the sailing is too. You know, longer sailings tend to, you know, gravitate toward maybe a little older, more mature crowd, and that's fine. And then shorter sailings might be younger. But the Northeast sailings, I think, is going to attract some really interesting and cool, sophisticated kind of people. I mean, I just love the fact of thinking about some of the folks in that part of the world who are going to kind of check us out for the first time, who maybe haven't made their way to Miami yet, but they're sitting in New York going, hey, this new ship looks kind of cool. Let's just go jump on her and see what she's like. So, yeah, we're excited.
Yolanda says, I am a leaf peeper. One of the things I loved about moving to Western New York.
Yeah, it's beautiful up there. I love that part of the world. Definitely do.
Absolutely.
And so, it does some stuff in Boston, and we got a full experience in Boston. You know, we stay later in most of the ports we go to. So we have, you know, a great experience in Boston. So it does New York, Boston, Eastport, Maine. And, you know, if you want to do some awesome shopping and stuff, there's some great stuff up in Maine. St. John, New Brunswick, beautiful, quaint little area. And Halifax, man, you got to see Peggy's Cove at least once in your life. You got to get that iconic picture of the lighthouse and the rocks. And that kind of thing. Great stuff there. And then it finishes up in Quebec. You better brush up on your French a little bit if you want to go to Quebec. They speak English fine, but they want to test you.
Oh boy. Okay.
Bonjour.
And I don't know how that's gonna sound coming out of a country bumpkin like me, but we're gonna try it anyway.
I got Southern fried French all over, honey. I'm just telling you. It's funny to hear. They look at you awful funny. And they're like, "Okay, we'll speak."
I
English.
bet.
We don't want you killing the French language here. We'll speak English.
So I see they have a Bermuda sailing too, right?
Well, yeah, there's 2 to Bermuda out of New York back to back, September 5th and September 10th. So you got to check those out because we spend the night in Bermuda. So if you want to stay out, late, we stay all night in Bermuda and head out the next day. But once we finish up in Quebec on that 10-night sailing, I think this to me is the one that intrigues me the most. If I had 2 weeks, if I had 13 nights, and I could go from Quebec to Miami, you're covering the whole East Coast, right? Mm-hmm. So Quebec, then at Halifax again, you can stop in there, St. John, Eastport, and then you do Boston, and then you got a couple of days at sea as you get down to Charleston, South Carolina. This one's going to stop in at Charleston, and I hope you and I can go down and jump on Brilliant Lady.
Yes, yes.
That's in October, and then she'll finish up in Miami. So, if you can't do the leaf peep in one direction from New York to Quebec, you might can do it from Quebec down through Charleston into Miami. So there we go. Just a few days longer. Yeah.
I'll go. Sign me up.
And there's actually good pricing on that one right now too. That's doing really well. The longer sailings, sometimes it's harder to find people who can take 2.5 weeks off of work that time of year. So yeah.
Okay. And Yolanda wants to know, when does it leave New England?
That one sails out on October the 3rd. That leaves from Quebec City. The one from New York to Quebec will sail out September 23rd. So okay. September 23rd to October 3rd, and then October 3rd it leaves Quebec and it winds up in Miami on October 16th. So she'll be in Charleston on October 14th, I believe is the date. So yeah.
So Beth says, cannot wait for Charleston. And I got to be honest, I can't wait either, because Charleston is a day trip, like a drivable port for us. Yeah. And that's just even having that option of that stop in Charleston and getting to know a little bit of us, Southerners and, how we do things. It's a nice spot.
Yeah. It's the quintessential romantic Southern port. I wish more people could be exposed to the beautiful coastline of North Carolina and South Carolina, but the Outer Banks just doesn't have a deep enough port for any major ships to pop into. I guess the closest thing is Norfolk, and that's still a good little piece down from there. So yeah, but it's a beautiful coastline, and we're excited for folks to check it out as we come through here.
Nice. Yeah. So we got something a little special happening here with Brilliant, right? She's doing something a little special. You want to get into talking the shows? Let's talk about it.
I'm so excited. Our entertainment's always been kind of really different, really cool. Starting way back with a dual reality, and you've seen it probably many different times. I've seen it several times. Love the dual reality show. That's the only show that's ever been produced for a cruise ship that's now gone to land and is actually being produced on land, which is crazy to me. But we introduced a new show with a Resilient Lady that I got to see as soon as it was launched. That was called Persephone. Have you seen Persephone?
I have. I saw it on Scarlet. I love it.
That is such a cool show. It's just like it's happening all around you. There's music, there's dancing, there's Hades.
Yes, right.
There's the chorus. I love all that stuff. And so we get some of the best people to produce shows. But Brilliant Lady is introducing 5 new shows and 1 new party. Now, everybody knows we're good for our parties. We love our sail away party, which is amazing, free champagne. Then we have our PJ party, that first night pajama party, right? You got to come up and just jam out. And have you ever stayed to the PJ party till they play Who Let the Dogs Out?
I have. I did. I caught that on Resilient. I love that.
It's goofy, but that's the thing you get to check off with Virgin. Stay out by the PJ party till they let the dogs out, right? So, and then of course we always love Scarlet Night because that's sort of our signature. Scarlet Night is a huge party.
Yes.
So we're going to introduce a new party on Brilliant in addition to those parties called Electric. What do you think Electric is about?
Now, my country self want to say the electric slide, but I know it's not.
probably incorporate it. How about a glow party? How about bringing your neon and having the glow sticks and it be the biggest glow party you've ever seen?
Now, Tracy, I love a good theme now. Don't play with me, Tracy. I love a good theme. A glow party?
A glow party. There's going to be iridescent jellyfish floating around. We're going to have face paint. There's going to be photo booths. It's going to be the most epic Virgin glow party you've ever seen. It's called Electric.
Okay.
So that's going to be on Brilliant.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if it'll eventually trickle over to the other ships or not. We'll just have to wait and see. But right now, Brilliant's going to be the only one with the Electric party. So,
okay.
All right. But the other shows we got coming out are really amazing. There's one coming out called Up with a Twist. This is our dinner show. We've been doing Another Rose and a ship show and a few other of our dinner type shows, right? So this one is a dinner show, but this is an elegant, chic, high-end, really cool feel to it. It's in the Manor, of course, and there's going to be all kinds of sparkling production numbers, vintage tunes, and then stunning twists and turns, and it's just going to be so cool. And the audience is going to get to pick the ending. So
interactive. I love that.
And all of our shows are interactive. We want people to participate as much as possible. But as much as you want to interact, the more interaction you do as an audience member, the more fun the show is going to be, and you'll get to choose how it ends. So I think that's going to be fun. The food is going to be incredible at that show too. So then also in the Manor, we're going to do something cool. Now, the Manor's got that 70s kind of feel to it.
Yes.
And you probably have seen like Phantom of the Opera and some of these other great Broadway shows, right?
Yes.
Doesn't the Manor feel like sort of a Phantom of the Opera type feeling to it?
It does.
The height of the ceiling and the chandelier.
Yes.
Okay, there's going to be a show in there called Murder in the Manor. So it's a murder mystery dinner theater.
Sold.
Yeah.
I'm already sold.
Murder mysteries were really big back in the 80s,
Yes.
As a tour bus driver, we would go to any murder mystery we could find anywhere because people just love that with bus tours. But this is going to be kind of cool. You're going to get to help investigate the murder as audience members and figure out who done it. And you might be the one who done it.
Oh, boy. Okay.
So it's going to have that Virgin twist to it. There's going to be some cheeky little cool, features, I'm sure. But as soon as I get to see it, I'm going to tweet out some cool things to be watching for.
Okay.
Murder.
Nice.
Now, I know you love music, right? You are a music person. Do you love duets?
Absolutely.
We have a show that's going to be called Duets, and it's focusing on jazz, but it's going to be bringing in like traditional rock music and traditional other types of genres, but with a jazz twist. And it'll be famous duets called Duets, and a lot of Motown, classic rock, contemporary. Really kind of fun seeing two amazing performers, sing these songs together. So I think Duets is going to be a lot of fun too.
Nice.
Yeah. And then another show called Red Hot. This one focuses on music as well.
Okay.
Can you name some of the artists who have been under the Virgin label over the years?
Oh my gosh. Probably not on the spot because I'm horrible with that kind of stuff.
Yes, I just did a quick Google search before we jumped on.
Okay.
Some of these artists, all these artists have been under Virgin at some point. Rolling Stones.
Okay.
U2, Janet Jackson, Taylor Swift, James Bay. Keep going here. Paula Abdul, Devo, Tangerine Dream, Genesis, Phil Collins, The Human League, Culture Club, Simple Minds, Lenny Kravitz. I mean, imagine what some of these tunes are going to be in with Red Hot with those artists that have been under Virgin in the past.
Yes.
So this is an homage to Virgin Records and the Virgin music history. And it's going to be Red Hot. I think that's how the name came around. That we're going to be burning down. I think it's going to be in the Red Room because this is going to be a high demand show.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to have a lot of people wanting to see Red Hot. There's still two more things I want to share with you, though, for entertainment. Another show called Out of Time. And this will be another music show based in the Red Room that is a time machine experience back in time for music, all the way up to present and future music. And it's just going to be a little bit of a comedy in there. It's going to have a fun little race to get back to present day. It's just going to be a like a time machine experience, but full of music. So yeah, really excited about that too. And then last, something called Disco Reimagined. Now you're not old enough, but I actually remember disco. I was a child during the 70s.
I do like disco music though. So does that count?
Studio 72, a reimagined immersive disco party. It's a 90-minute explosion of sequins and flared pants and acrobatics to go with it. So let's think about maybe dual reality meets Persephone with the costumes, the sequins, and then throw in disco music and see them all dance together. This is going to be crazy and fun.
That's nice. I'm definitely a musical or music girl. Like my life runs off of music. So absolutely all of these are amazing. Even the rock show that we did on Scarlet, where you're just kind of interactive with the band as they're playing, like you're at the concert. That was amazing as well. So I know these are going to be great.
Yeah, I think some of those same performers that people love so much. What was the name of that group? I'm trying to think of the name of it. They're actually going to stick around and be part of this musical entertainment.
Okay, nice. Yeah, they were great.
Yeah, sailors have told us in the past, we expect Virgin to have music because they still know Virgin Records.
Right.
And we didn't have as much music out there, early on as maybe some folks expected. But now everywhere you go on the ship, there's always some sort of live music going on, around on the rocks or back at the dock house or, different bar venues throughout the ship. There's going to be almost always some cool live music happening too.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So I think I even heard a peek of someone saying that they were on a particular sailing and there was like a 90s night.
Yeah, I think that's something we've been toying with. It's not something we're promoting quite yet as far as a consistent thing. So I don't want to, make people like going to actually see it on every sailing. But we've been, throwing out some theme nights on certain sailings just to get responses and see what people think. So who knows, if you're sailing anytime this summer, you might get an email in advance saying, hey, on your sailing, we're going to do this special event. Come prepared for it, if you want to dress up or something. I've got the perfect wig I should wear for 90s night.
You got the big hair?
I still got big hair. This is pretty good for.
Yeah, you have great hair, by the way.
That comes from my dad. I'll tell him on Father's Day I got compliments.
So let's talk more about what Virgin has to offer. I know we're going to wrap things up here in a few minutes, but anything special you want us to know about Virgin and, what we can expect in the future?
Yeah, we're just super excited about the Brilliant Lady launch. And of course, she's going to be fantastic in the Northeast. I didn't talk about the LA side of this thing. We're going to bring her to Miami, of course, in October, and she'll do the winter season in Miami, and she'll do some fantastic longer sailings out of Miami. And let me tell you, if anybody's watching right now, they're not aware that we do some 10, 12, 13-day sailings out down into the Caribbean to certain places that, a lot of other cruise lines don't go to. So definitely check out our longer Caribbean sailings, either out of Miami or San Juan. But we won't get marred up with that. But Brilliant's going to spend her winter in Miami. And then March 21st of 26, that's actually my birthday. I know your birthday's coming up May 21st.
Yeah, it is.
So March 21st, she'll make her way through the Panama Canal, and that ship, that sailing is pretty much sold out, to LA. And then she's going to spend a month or two on the West Coast doing the Mexican Riviera. So if anyone is watching and they're like, gosh, I can't get to Miami or New York, and you can get to LA in the spring of 26, those sailings are filling up quickly, and they are fantastic. And, Virgin and LA, the vibe kind of goes together,
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to have some fun things happening at the LA departures and the LA Mermaid and sailing. So definitely keep that in mind. But then at the end of May, around your birthday time, we're going to start sending her up toward, Vancouver and Seattle for the Alaska season, the first Alaska season.
Nice.
So that would be a good birthday trip for you guys.
I think it would be because, I've been trying to get to Alaska anyway, but Alaska and Virgin and kind of being one of the first people to experience that.
And, let's just go ahead and put a circle together for your birthday. We'll save everybody 10%. And, we'll see if there's some extra perks we can throw in there, maybe a little bar tab extra or something.
Okay.
Then you'll get a full group dining experience if you get enough people together on the ship for your birthday.
Nice.
And, I think we need to go ahead and start advertising that.
Let's do that. Let's absolutely do that. Brandon doesn't care. Let's do it. Now we gotta do it.
I didn't put you on the spot.
No, actually, he brought it up to me, so I think we can go ahead and lock this in, Tracy, and make it happen.
Let's do it. Let's look at the specific date for May of next year. Everyone watching right now, be on the lookout for a group sailing. We call it a circle, so just watch for a Virgin Circle with Parkers on the Go, right?
Yes, that's right.
Birthday celebration next year. So, a good question just popped in here about the passport, and so I don't mind asking that too, or answering that, because I know that's a question. Out of Miami right now, if you don't have a passport, we definitely allow you to use your birth certificate and a government issued ID, and we've been doing that since the beginning. I just want to warn you though, all kind of crazy things are happening out there with politics. All right, that's all I'll say about that.
Yes.
And passport is the best thing to have to leave this country on a cruise ship.
Yes.
So I can't say for sure if New York's going to have that same situation as Miami. I feel like it will. I don't want to panic you, but hey, you can get a passport in like 3 weeks now. It's so fast. I'm just renewing mine, and it's $160.
Right.
Go ahead and get the passport. Then you're clear to go. But it's not required. I anticipate that it may not be required out of New York for those closed loop sailings again. And I anticipate it may not be required for LA or for Seattle. But don't quote me on that, because there's so much time ahead of us here and so many things happening politically.
It changes.
Yes. And we know that tomorrow things could change, and that they could say, nope, you got to have a passport for everything. Yes. And so I just recommend getting it, and you're good to go for 10 years. I mean, you don't have to worry about it.
Absolutely. And this is actually my mom. So, hey, Mom. Happy Mother's Day. And she just retired at the end of April. So we're trying to find a nice retirement cruise for her. So these longer cruises might work.
I think she would like that. Yes.
And she's never done Virgin either. So we got to kind of get her on the Virgin bandwagon.
We got to get Mom a discount, or at least a bottle of champagne or something.
We got to do something, right?
Right.
But she's a casino girly too. Don't tell her I told you. But she's a casino girly too. So, we got to get her in with the slots.
We didn't talk about the casino, but it's smoke free on our ships. Everybody loves it. It's not, you don't get, covered with smoke going through the casino. So.
Yes. And I absolutely love that, because it's also right outside of the manor too. So you can kind of like, hey, go to the manor, come to the casino, go to the casino pregame, then go to the manor. Either way, you're still having fun, right?
A little bar right around the corner there at the casino. Grab your cocktail, play a game, go to the manor.
There you go. It's perfect. She says, sounds good.
Special treat for you, Mom.
Just for you.
Mother's Day Monday. That's right.
There we go. So you know what, Tracy, this has been amazing. I don't want to keep you long because we can talk about it all day long. But I appreciate you being here to answer all the questions about Virgin. We definitely have more to come. We would love to have you back when we are actually streaming live on YouTube, so some of our YouTube family can ask questions live as well. But definitely we'll be looking forward to that Brilliant Lady sailing.
Yeah.
We'll look into that. And
we get the circle together and you want to do another live, we could just talk about the whole sailing, the whole itinerary for that.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Let's do it. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I look forward to having you back. And if you guys have any questions for Tracy, feel free to email me and I'll shoot them towards him and we can answer the questions on the next live. And thank you for being here. All right. You have a good day. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching. And until next time, Parker's out. If you need assistance booking your next cruise, feel free to reach out to us at parkershonthego16@gmail.com and we can help you book your next cruise adventure.
Watch this video right here.